Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we have a book haul. As you can see, most of these have been sitting on my shelves for quite a while. I don't do a ton of book hauls. I mostly get books from my Goodwill, and sometimes it's not like really well stocked. It's not a particularly large Goodwill like some other people have, so I get what I can when it's available. So you know, some days I get nothing and some days I do. So that's what it's like for me. I don't usually buy books online, or I don't go to like the larger bookstores. There's only one where I live, and sometimes it's really pricey, so we're Goodwill shopping for books. We have over 20 books here. You also have a mixture of genres and age ranges. I'm trying to continue to be a very voracious reader and read different types of genres and age ranges. Let's get started. Sorry, my dog likes to lay on the camera stand and he moves it all the time. Can do classics first. I don't have my own copy of The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. I've read it before because of high school and stuff, but I don't have my own copy, and I just like the artwork on this cover, so I picked it up. I am trying to read more classics in general. I haven't really since again school, but I have The Woman in Black by Susan Hill. Liked this copy. It's hard and has a nice cover. Anne of Green Gables by Lucy Maud Montgomery. Also haven't read this one, but it was also a hardcover. I like the artwork, and these pages are really pretty, and it has a section for this book belongs to. So I picked this one up. I do have The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. Never read Toni Morrison in my life ever, and I definitely want to fix that. I know a lot of people read this in school. I never did. I also have The Hammer of God by Arthur C. Clarke. I have read Arthur C. Clarke before. I read his Rendezvous with Rama, which I really loved. Really enjoyed it, but I do know that that's getting adapted, and so I saw his name on the spine and I picked it up. I don't really know much about what this one's about. I do believe this takes place in the near future, where society has progressed at some point, but a giant meteor is heading straight for Earth and is gonna potentially ruin everything. That's all I really know. I'm sure I'll like this as well. I have Stephen King's It. Picked this one up. I've read Carrie before and I did like it, despite some of the most known issues that Stephen King has in his writing, but I would like to read more of his backlog before I get to some of his more newer things. I know a good deal about this book. I know that it's obviously really dense, and I know that infamous scene that happens, and we'll see how I feel about that. Probably not good. There's probably going to be more that I like in this book than dislike, but I know what happens. I have 3 books in a series that I can kind of strike out in one. I have books 6, 7, and 8 in the Keeper of the Lost Cities series by Susan Messenger. Book 6 is Nightfall. Book 7 is Flashback. And book 8 is Legacy. And I'm pretty sure I have everything up until book 8 now. I really had fun starting the series. I haven't read it in a while, I haven't continued, so I might have to do a reread of the first 4 books, I think, but I really enjoyed them. They're really fun, very dense for a middle grade. So if you're looking for a middle grade to fill the void of I want something vast and a lot of world building, a lot of cool things that exist in one world, the series is really fun. We follow a character named Sophie who figures out that she's an elf, and she's from a different realm that can connect to other realms. It's really magical. It's really fun. There's school settings and a chosen one kind of thing going on, so probably not the best explanation, but there's a lot of stuff that goes on plot wise. I have, I think, 2 more middle grades. I have Dry by Neal and Jarrod Shusterman. This takes place in a setting where the tap's water has pretty much kind of run out, and we follow a character who has to survive in this kind of almost it says war zone of desperation. I'm sure we'll see a lot of themes come up in this kind of climate fiction YA book. I've really liked Neal Shusterman's work that I read elsewhere. I've read his Scythe stuff, and I want to say I read a short story from him, but I really like his creativity. So, and then I also have The Name of the Star by Maureen Johnson. I believe this is called the Shades of London series. I've read something from Maureen Johnson before. I want to say it was a mystery thriller YA series, and I really liked it. I just can't remember the series name off the top of my head, but we follow a character here named Rory, and she goes to a boarding school in London, and pretty much around the time of her arrival, someone is committing Jack the Ripper type murders, and Rory thinks that she's seen who's done it, but it's a ghost. She can see ghosts. I forgot about this book that I also have. This is called Conversion by Catherine Howe. Never heard of this book, never seen anyone like hold it up like in a video or anything, but maybe I just wasn't in on the trend when it was released. When we follow a young woman who goes to a kind of boarding school academy type thing, and a lot of the students are starting to kind of pick up an illness and no one really knows what's happening to them. One of our characters believes it has to do with this like epidemic that had occurred like 3 centuries prior. I don't know if this falls into like mystery or like fantasy or like horror or anything like that, but it seems interesting. So yeah. I also have a few mystery thrillers to go through. So Pieces of Her by Karin Slaughter. I really love Karin Slaughter's work, but it's a lot to read. I can't really read them like quickly in succession because she typically deals with violence, and a lot of violence and violence against women. She's a mystery, mostly thriller author. I believe in this one we follow a mother and a daughter, and there's this horrific event that happens, I think at like a shopping mall. I don't really know the details of this event, and our main character's mother, Laura, does something that kind of sheds a new light on her. People are kind of like, whoa, like where did this woman come from? Like this is not the person that we thought we knew. And our main character is kind of trying to uncover the history of her mother. I guess our character doesn't really know her mother too well, or as well as she thought she did. I also have a Megan Miranda who I've read before, and I really liked my first go with Megan Miranda, and then every book since then has been just fine, but I haven't read anything like fantastic from her. But this is The Girl from Widow Hills. This follows a woman or a young girl who was who went like sleepwalking or something in this forest where she lived, and she went missing for a while, but she was found, like rescued, and it became this big sensation thing like across media. And as she's gotten older, she's changed her name, moved away, kind of tried to distance herself from that past until she finds like a body that's kind of connected to her history. And then I guess that's where the story starts. I will give Megan Miranda a chance all the time because I've never been truly disappointed in a book from her. I just haven't been wowed in a while, but I'm always up for trying, you know? I also found this one, also not one that I ever heard of, but it was there at the Goodwill and it caught my eye, called You Shouldn't Have Come Here by Jeneva Rose. I believe this follows a woman who goes and books an Airbnb in some kind of rural area in like Wyoming or something to kind of get away from it all, and she meets someone there that she's kind of like interested in, but it kind of takes a turn for the worse. And the guy that she kind of liked, he's kind of getting obsessive, and there's like a missing woman history with this location. Sounds kind of maybe like I've seen or read something similar to this, but like, hey, if it's popcorny, I'll enjoy it, so why not? This book is kind of silly for me to pick up. This is The Last Devil to Die by Richard Osman. This is part of a series. I don't know what the series is called. Oh, The Thursday Murder Club. It's right there. The Thursday Murder Club. I have the first book. If you ask me, have you read the first book in the series? I would have to answer no, because I'm honest. Do I have books 2 and 3 in the series? Also no. But now I have book 4. So I have book 1 and 4. Haven't read any of them. But I thought, hey, this is a fairly popular series, and book 4 is just like sitting at my Goodwill for some reason. So I picked it up. I'll read it eventually. But I believe we follow like an older group of individuals who are like retired, twilight of their life, and they solve mysteries. I want to quickly get one romance out of the way. This is To Marry a Scottish Laird by Lynsay Sands. I like Lynsay Sands's like Scottish Laird, Highland Scottish dudes romance series. Are really fun. They're really silly but engaging and palette cleanser, and I really do actually like this series. And so when I saw a physical copy, I don't have a physical copy of any of these books on my shelves. I listen to this on audiobook from my library, but whenever I need like a little pick-me-up like emotionally, I could always reread one of these. Well, this one, because I only have this one. But yeah. Oh, and plot wise, I mean, woman falls in love with like a really hot Scottish dude. Historical fiction. I found this manga at the Goodwill and I never heard it before. It's called Rebirth by Wu. I don't know anything about it, never heard of it, but I saw that it was volumes 1 through 3, so I picked it up because it's the first one in the series. If it was like volumes like 4, 5, or 6 or something, I wouldn't have picked it up, but since it was the first, I thought, why not? I believe we follow a man who's a vampire, and he was like cursed. I believe he was cursed to sleep for like eternity and his wife was also killed. Anyways, our main character wakes up in the modern era. A lot of things have changed, but he still wants revenge against the hunter who put him to sleep and killed his wife. I have Magic Strikes. This is, I think, the 4th novel in the Kate Daniels series, which I absolutely love. This is a paranormal, like, urban fantasy series. I love paranormal urban fantasies. This one's great. We follow Kate, who is this very capable woman. She lives in Georgia and she has to deal with like paranormal supernatural drama. The setting of this is really cool. It takes place in a universe where technology has like kind of fallen and magic has come back in its place, and it kind of sometimes there's like a flip-flop between those two, between magic and tech. Sometimes technology does have like a certain surge in power, but then it kind of fails again, so it goes back and forth between magic and tech. It's cool. I like it. I also have Bitten by Kelley Armstrong. I believe this is the first book in the Otherworld series. I've seen the series before, like floating around social media and stuff, and I never picked it up, but again, I found it at the Goodwill and I thought I'd give it a shot. I believe this is the first one in the series, and we follow a young woman named Illona, and she's a werewolf, and she's done her best to assimilate into the human world, but I think the person who changed her is kind of coming back into her life, maybe something along those lines. I'm not quite sure what like the actual drama or plot is of this one, but it's an urban paranormal and I love those. I have 2 more books left, so we're almost done. I have The Black Prism by Brent. I remember when this book was getting like its flowers a few years ago. I'm sure it's still well liked, maybe, I don't know. I don't exactly know plot wise what happens in this book, but I do remember a lot of readers praising the magic system. I believe it's like based on color. I think we may follow a character who can like manipulate all colors, something along those lines. And the last book I have is Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. I haven't read anything by Susanna Clarke. This book just seems like one of those like literary fiction fantasy blends. Plot wise, I don't know if that's like really the thing that is going to be the main focus of this book. Probably the writing and the storytelling is what's gonna shine here from what I've heard of this author. We follow Piranesi, who lives in this house that is like a labyrinth of rooms, and he lives there with one other person called the Other, and I think at some point they discover, or Piranesi finds out, that there might be another person living in this house. I don't know plot wise what happens, but I can guess that this is mostly focused on the craft as opposed to the story, but maybe the story is good too, I'm not sure. Anyways, those are all the books that I have for today. I do think it's a nice mix of YA, middle grade, and adult books. A few genres, obviously, you know, my favorite genres being like fantasy, and I do like mystery thrillers. But yeah, let me know what you think of any of these books, if you've read any of them. Let me know if I put them on your radar, anything like that. I'd like to hear anything you have to say down below in the comments. I will link my social medias down below, as well as some far more important links. Feel free to like, dislike, comment, or subscribe, or do neither. It's all cool with me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.